Hey folks, welcome back. It's Christian McCullum with the PlayAction Pod. We are joined now by Kevin Noon from Buckeye Scoop. Buckeye Scoop does a phenomenal job covering all things Ohio State Buckeyes. Check them out, buckeyescoop.com. They've got a huge contest going on in PlayAction right now, close to 300 guys in it. Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right. Now, I mean, when Ohio State, between Urban Meyer and Ryan Day, they're in the reloading category now. They don't rebuild, they reload. But I think there's degrees to reload in. Where's Ohio State at right now going into 21? What's kind of the overall outlook of the program and the team?
I mean, I think things are sky high right now. Ohio State certainly just keeps reloading, as you said. It's not a rebuild, it's a reload. We could look at certain positions where they're young or they're maybe inexperienced, because linebacker, they're not particularly young, they're just not really experienced there. It's a roster filled with 4- and 5-star type of guys, and because of that, I mean, Ohio State's just able to bring out wave after wave. Now, that doesn't always necessarily mean that, you're going to see immediate success week 1. It's a process, it's a journey. You're going to play a lot different week 10 than you're going to play week 1. But now having a full off season, having a full spring practice, having a full summer conditioning, having a full fall practice, I think they're going to be in a lot better shape in terms of bringing young guys up than that awful 2020 COVID year, in terms of guys having to go home and put rocks in backpacks and build squat racks out of 2x4s. So, I think they're going to be in good shape.
One position, just like you said, the 4- and 5-star guys. I know who they are just from covering recruiting for Irish Sports Daily. You see the next guys come in. Receiver, I know you guys were asking over on the site, is it the best receiver group Ohio State's ever had? It's just stacked. That 2 deep is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. When you move a 5-star like G. Scott over to tight end, just so he has a clearer path to the field, and, he was maybe a biscuit shy of being a flex tight end anyway, but, you're moving a guy that's a top 20, 40, 50 guy, depending on which service you're following or whatnot, over to tight end to clear the deck. It shows a lot. You have the best 1-2 punch in the nation, in my book at least, with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Jackson Smith-Njigba burst onto the scene last year as a true freshman. This year, playing the role of Jackson Smith-Njigba in terms of being that guy to just completely take the scene is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh, yeah, we haven't mentioned 5-star Emeka Egbuka out of Washington State. And then with in-state, sleeper. I think he was still a 4-star sleeper, Jaden Ballard. 1 to 6 right there. You've got guys that really could be playing just about anywhere. So it's a ridiculous amount of riches. You want to see the young guys get some run, but how do you take catches away from Olave and Wilson? That's going to be the question. So it'll be something interesting to watch week to week.
And what are you guys going to get out of having Stroud as new quarterback? What's that going to look like?
That's a good question. Everything we've heard has been very positive. I think C.J. Stroud is kind of the Swiss Army knife. He does everything well. I think people might say, oh, Kyle McCord has a little bit of a bigger arm, and Jack Miller may do this a little bit better. And, of course, we haven't even mentioned Quinn Ewers, who reclassified to show up at Ohio State. But when it comes to Stroud, I think he checks off all of the boxes. Smart kid. I think he's physically gifted, throws a good ball, has the ability to run. He's not thrown a pass in a collegiate game, but he did have a rushing touchdown last year in mop-up time. I think they're not going to throw him in a situation to where they put him in a huge risk situation. I think that with Minnesota has some talented defensive backs, and I know we're jumping ahead here a little bit. I think they're going to do a situation of where they're letting him throw outside the numbers a little bit, allow him to be able to, just kind of get into the game. I think Ohio State's running game will do well enough in that Minnesota game to allow them to bring him on, because he's going to be in for a real big boy game next week against Oregon, and having to sit there and make sure that Kayvon Thibodeau isn't coming right into his ear hole.
Yeah, like you said earlier, week 1's going to be different than week 10, and week 1's got to get them ready for week 2 with that showdown against Oregon. Week 1, Ohio State 14.5 is the spread. Is it one of those games, like you said, with, do they leave Stroud in there, leave him get some chemistry with him and some of those new receivers, get some of those new running backs some work? Do you think it's a game where they don't necessarily take their foot off the gas?
You've got this intersection of, we want to make sure that we have experience behind CJ, but CJ really hasn't played a lot of collegiate football yet. So which way do you go? If I'm Ryan Day, well, if I'm Ryan Day, I'm fantastically wealthy and everything else. So I'm not Ryan Day. But if I'm Ryan Day, I'm leaving Stroud out there for a while just to get him those reps, because I promise you, and I don't say this to bag on other programs, but once they get to week 3, I mean, they've got Tulsa, Akron, Rutgers, and Maryland. They're going to have plenty of run there to where Kyle McCord, Jack Miller, maybe even Quinn Ewers, if he's had enough of an opportunity to get out in the field, will have an opportunity to see some action. But here, you can't be playing for the future in 21. You have to be playing for 21, because if you take your eye off the prize, you might be sitting with the fans in the stands in 22. So you've got to make sure that you're taking care of the here and now. Now, that doesn't mean that the best scenario is leaving him out there 97% of the snaps through the entire season. There will be an opportunity to bounce some things around, but here in the first 8 quarters of the season, it needs to be a heavy dose of Stroud, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, and PJ Fleck, whether they play grit or not, they're going to be fired up. So, you're not going to be able to come in there and just take them for granted, because they're going to be playing hard, that's for sure. Kevin, we really appreciate it, man. And, like I said, Ohio State fans, you need to get over to Buckeye Scoop. Check it out. They got a ton of great stuff going on over there. So if you're an Ohio State fan, you need to be checking out Buckeye Scoop. Kevin, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us, and we'll have you on again.
Absolutely.